2023, and this is actually a formal council meeting for General Council for the Hawaiian Nation. Today we have specific individuals joining us at this location, which is Hawaiian.clear.events, to particularly under the authority of an interim type council. That's it's not necessarily a governing council, but a general council for the Hawaiian Islands. This will be determined further as we continue to progress to basically help build policy and voting through the outcomes of this particular meeting that'll happen every week, every Tuesday at 3 o'clock Hawaiian Pacific time. We'll coordinate projects, we'll gain international recognition, and discuss pressing topics in this particular venue. The folks that are in attendance is Wilmont, Donna, Charles, Michael, and we'd like to invite others as time goes on and this continues to mature. We're going to get started with a quick prayer, and we've asked Wilmont to basically offer that for us. This is a digital format, but if you could just take a moment on your own, that would be wonderful. Wilmont?
Iko mako mako loko kalani hani yuko inoe mahalo na mako ya oiko o mai kai uha ave mai mako I kia manawa e puli no ki ia puli no ki ia ia oko ia oe no ka mea e mahalo no ya mako I ka pono no I kia mea o ke la mana o decentralization kia upuni no laila make wau e hopo mai e mako e o kahi no I ka ike o kahi ka puu ai e ho o kahi I ke uhane e ho o mau ka pono no o iei o God, we thank Thee for this opportunity to come together as Ohana and to convene as the General Council so that we could learn and grow together as we address the issues surrounding the welfare of people of the Hawaiian government. We ask that Thou would bless us as we kuka and deliberate, that we'll have Thy Spirit and Thy honor to be with us, so that we may be mindful of the truths that are spoken, and that we will weave together the laws, rules, and policies that are in accordance with Your will, so that we can move forward, one in heart and one in mind and one in spirit, and do all things pono, all right by You. Ika ino hemalele Yesu Christo. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Kamunu, do you want to talk a little bit about oneness and just the basis of why we're here?
Yeah, in that pule, there is a thought about that whole kaikaike is to be one in mind. And so it's just a reminder to all of us that we need to have a shared vision. And the nation that has a shared vision is the nation that knows where it's going. And it does not put all of its mana'o under the control of one particular individual, but that the people, the nation, become a living, breathing organ that moves forward together. Ho'okahi I kapu'uwai, one in heart. When our hearts are knit together and we weave this fabric of truth that helps govern our desires, our passions, then we will strive to do everything we can for and on behalf of the benefit of the whole, the people as a whole. When we say ho'okahi ka uhane, when we are talking about our spirits being united together as one, that we draw upon the mana of our kupuna ikava kaiko. We're drawing upon our spiritual past, as well as moving toward a united spiritual future. Because, well, one truth that we do know is this, that we cannot do all of this by ourselves. We need the help of those who came before us. And by looking back, we're able to see where we're moving forward to. Let me end with this really quick thought. One of the things I learned about the ancient navigators is in order for them to move forward, they have to look back. And that Ike means that they would track a star in front of them and they would line that star with the star behind them. And then once they mark these two stars, they triangulate it with the star above them. This is called triangulation. The Ike of the Huina Kolu, or the triangle, is something that has governed our people for millennia. Triangulation allows us to know exactly where we're going because we know where we've been. Mahalo.
Mahalo. Amazing. So we'll do our best to basically stay on topic with that spirit and understanding. The first and most important thing is to make sure that we understand the basis of what gives us the opportunity to come together. And that's an important document from 1864, the Kingdom of Hawaii, or the Hawaiian Islands Constitution. And so one of the topics that will be discussed is the importance of not losing sight, just as Kimono talked about, of this type of a document as we build for the future. And as we walk through this meeting, what you'll see is the ability for individuals from the Hawaiian Islands that have stood up and continue to stand up to use technology in such a way where they align and unite in a new way. And so looking forward into this new digital way, but also looking back into really step by step around what has been provided as a solid framework, as this Constitution, and then even understanding some of the details around this Constitution, because this Constitution, as it relates, has a massive history to it. And so the ability to go through that history, spend time to actually look at maybe some pieces that may be updated. For instance, this has one amendment to it that basically just talks about the difference between $150 per meeting to $250 per meeting, but it gives an example of how the amendments work. And then this provides really a history of the Constitution and kind of how it got to where it's at. So is there something we want to focus on in these areas with a goal to be able to take this Constitution and actually approve it for voting, and a motion that actually goes out to really the whole general populace within the Hawaiian Life ecosystem? So they're using the Hawaiian Life apps as it builds upon the Hawaiian nation and Hawaiian kingdom and Hawaiian country that is currently being stood up. So Donna, do you want to guide us in the Constitution dialogue, or Wilmot, do you want to guide us in any of the history?
Yeah. I'll go ahead and take it, and then I'll hand off to Lanakila if that's okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let me. I do want to share something with you. If you can help me navigate this, Michael.
Yeah. So
I want to share.
Perfect.
Okay, so click on the 4 squares to toggle the tile view. Is that it?
Yeah, 4 squares on the right. That's exactly right. So now you're going to be able to see everybody.
Okay.
You should, for some,
And
there you
then
go. And then if you want to share your
click on
screen, you just go down. Yep, that's right. So go ahead and go click on the arrow
Let's see.
button. 2 over.
Start sharing.
2, 1, yeah, right there.
Awesome.
Perfect. And I'm going to stop sharing mine. So you should be able to share yours now. You know, actually, we're sharing it now. It dropped to your video feed, which is good to see you. I wish we would have had that for the prayer, but next time we'll learn from that. So,
yeah, this is really pretty cool. Okay, so I want to go ahead and
you want to share your screen first. So you actually stopped sharing before,
okay.
So now you want to share again. It'll ask you which window you want to do it on.
Choose what to share. The site will be able to use the contents of your screen. Okay,
You can share
so
one
it's not
application.
giving me.
You can share your full screen, or you can
Yeah,
share.
it's not able. Oh, there it is. Share.
Perfect.
Can everybody see that?
Yeah. Perfect. There you go. You're sharing your screen now.
Everybody should see a Word document.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
This is taken from an account written in Lili'u Kalani's book, Hawaii Story. So real quickly, the first constitution was given to the realm in 1840. This is Lili'u Kalani, and was a voluntary act on the part of King Kamehameha III. The second succeeded it in 1852. Both of these were doubtless drafted under the supervision and advice of the missionaries, of whom, even at the latter date, the Hawaiian nation was beginning to feel a little justifiable jealousy. So, when Prince Lot came to the throne in 1863 under the title of King of Kamehameha V, his first official act was to refuse to take the oath to maintain the existing constitution. His success as Minister of the Interior under his brother had been remarkable, and his character was to resemble that of Kamehameha the Great. It is presumable, therefore, that he understood the needs of his people better than those of foreign birth and alien affinities, which is an important point as we move forward in the kinds of constitutional or statutory provisions we're going to adopt. We need to make sure that those statutes really have the best interests and protections of the rights of the people in mind. In the month of May 1864, the king issued a call for a constitutional convention, subsequently making a tour of the islands to explain his plans to the electors. In July of that year, the convention assembled in Honolulu, but his time being given to what Kamehameha considered useless deliberations instead of business. On August 13, he declared the convention dissolved, dismissed the delegates, publicly abrogated the Constitution of 1852, and 1 week after that date, he proclaimed the new constitution of his own devising, under which Hawaii was happily ruled for 23 years. There will be no disputing the fact that this was a period of increasing prosperity until the late King Kalakaua was constrained by a foreign element to abrogate the Constitution. All parties had lived together in harmony throughout the Kingdom of the Hawaiian Islands under a constitution devised and promulgated by one man, and he of the race of the Hawaiian chiefs. The Constitution, the argument is almost always made about the Constitution of 1887, but it was really never legally or lawfully ratified. So the real final standing constitution for the Kingdom of Hawaii is the last one, and that's the one that was drafted by King Kamehameha V.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
I'm
this,
done with the share.
that's this one that's right here that we're talking about. This one, right?
Right. That's the one.
Okay. So Donna, do you want to guide us in any kind of direction or motion or specific?
I just want to just a little bit, and then we can make a motion, because there are, and we had a little bit of this discussion. There are obviously, because of time and new structure, parts of it, and mostly words that have to be changed, because we're not going to have a king, we're not going to have a queen, those kinds of things. But we also talked about how those changes have to be ratified by the people. So what I'm thinking is we make a motion to adopt this constitution to be the working constitution, knowing that changes will be coming. Can we put this constitution up with proposed changes for people to vote on? Can we put it up that way? Like we could say, maybe we put it up and we say, this is the constitution we'll be working with. We recommend the following changes in Article 1, just for an example. And then
Yes.
Vote yes or no to that change.
Yeah, what we can
Yeah.
what we can do is make the motion to adopt, and then allow people to say yes or no. And then any changes, we could either do the whole document with modifications and then say yes or no. or we could do motion by change and motion by motion. So what I'll do is I'll show you how it works. And the goal again is to teach this process. So then when we're gone or I'm not here, you can do this on your own. So what I'm doing is
we're recording this,
The idea
right?
also is
Yeah.
that if you're looking at Robert's Rules of Order as a methodology of organizing things correctly, each action has its own separate thing that has to be done.
Yeah.
And so you have to have it in its order, which would be one, acceptance. Once you have acceptance, then you make motions to
amend
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and go line by line, because each one could be very unique stuff.
So let's literally do this right now together, following exactly what you just talked about. So I grabbed a phone. I'm going to log in to a council. I'm going to, let's see, let's go ahead into this general council. You can kind of see members, and some of these are still building. But as you basically share your profile and your name, you can see how people can join in. Whole nother conversation. But what we're going to do is we're going to say, we're going to add a question. So this is going to be adopt. And this was the 1864 Constitution. It's really the kingdom of the Hawaiian Islands. Let's make sure that that's exactly. Yeah, the king. Let's see, grace of the king of the Hawaiian Islands. So we'll just do generically the Hawaiian Islands. And what we'll do is because this is a cadence meeting, every week we'll go through another one. So we'll make it so that it's actually due before next week. And we'll go ahead and, I actually haven't done this before, so we'll see if we can.
This is cool.
So next week, do you want to have like a draft with the draft of proposed changes?
Yeah, so just like what Charles just said, this particular one is just going to say a yes, no. And
right.
We should, I wonder, so we'll just say yes or approved, reject. And some folks say yay or nay, some say green or red, so we can come up with however we want to do this. So we've got a link to the document, which is going to link to here. And when we build the agendas, we just make them dynamically linking. So everything that we do is linking in such a way that we can actually build this voting process. So it's one thing for us as a body to make a motion. It's another thing for everyone to be able to vote. And then once that's done, then we push it into policy by service providers that are basically retained and managed by the councils, so to speak. So we should be able to say yay or nay here. So we'll go ahead and say add poll. So now we can see that this one, motion to adopt this Constitution, and everyone that logs in, just like the way I did, whoever's got Hawaiian Life, and to get Hawaiian Life, you just go to Hawaiian Life. And if you've got an Android phone, you can download it here. And then you can basically get 12 words. And from there, you're off and running. It's just that simple. You don't need username and passwords. You need to set up your fingerprint and link it with that. But ultimately, anybody can cryptographically vote in a very secure way for the future. And once people understand this and use it, it'll make a lot of sense. So we'll go ahead and let that ride for the next 6 days. And by the time this meeting rolls around next week, we'll have an answer on that motion. Does that make sense? So
I love this. This is a great tool. Well, it will leverage our resources of time and efficiency.
Mhm.
It will allow us to reach out to everybody so that they can get online, and it's a simple yes or no.
You got it. So, you know, and you can come in and say, oh, I'll approve it. But by the time this thing closes down, if you haven't changed it, it's going to lock it down as whatever your vote is. And so what I would propose is, you know, go ahead. Somebody saying something?
Yeah, go.
Well, so that's basically it. So we'll start watching these take place. And this is a voting system that is using cryptography in the background to prove that it actually happened based upon a centralized front end for the Hawaiian nation. And so as people understand what that really is, it's going to start taking hold. It may take some time, but that's basically it. So, and maybe I want to go through, maybe if let's come back in and say that we want to look at something. Maybe there's, let's say we want to edit it. So let's come back through and let's see here. Good. Okay, that's exactly what we're supposed to do.
Can we build on that motion?
Yeah. Well, would you like to make another motion, or once we make the motions, we have to define them, right?
I just kind of want to add to that because in my brain and the way I understand motions and decisions and boards and all of that to work is if we're going to adopt this constitution, we actually, but we know there's changes that are going to have to be made. I think we need to include that in there and say something like.
Well, it's just like what Charles was saying around the structure. What you would do is you would approve, like you could approve this 1864 Constitution with changes, but another way that, and like he was saying, is you basically approve the historical one to stand it up, and then you go through each one of the changes, and then you make a motion to approve those as well. That's another way to do it. So,
but do you want to include the option to change in there to say something like, we adopt the Constitution of 1864 as of the Hawaiian Kingdom as written by Kamehameha V to be amended by the people as needed.
Okay, why don't you send me that language through our secure chat, and we'll literally add that.
That's really good.
Do that. That's perfect. So you just tell me.
And that is the correct way of doing that.
We don't have to go back to we left that ability there. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So just tell me exactly what you want it to see, and I'm just going to show you how this technology can. It's a voting system and the ability to actually link it all together per se.
And I'm still unclear as to how you do it on your phone or on the app, because.
So you could do this on your own by logging in. So if you remember, I went to. Are you typing that out, by the way, Donna?
I am.
Okay. While you're doing that, I'll do a real quick training here. So if you go to Hawaiian Life and you click on member login, you scan this or you click that and a QR code pops up, and then you log in with Hawaiian Life. And then that logs you in and you can see any active polls. And then you can vote. So if you want to
log in from my phone, right?
Yeah, well, no, so you can log in. So why don't you do this? Why don't you share your screen right now? So go ahead and share your screen on your computer. And we're going to let you use your computer to log in with your phone, but you can log in with your phone. So the answer is yes, yes, yes. But we're going to actually show everyone how this works. So go ahead and share your screen there, Charles. Okay, perfect. Now we're going to open a browser.
Okay.
You're going to go to Hawaiian.life.
Okay, I sent it.
Good. Okay. I'll go find that while he's doing that. Okay, so you're going to click member login, and then you're going to scroll down. You're going to say click here to get QR code. Okay. And everyone can walk through this at the same time. This is what's gorgeous about it. So grab your Hawaiian Life app, and then you're going to click. And if you have a Clear phone, you'll grab your Clear Life app. Now it's the Life app that you want. So grab your Clear phones, go to Clear Life, Hawaiian Life, Samsung Life, Tuvalu Life, Fiji Life. It doesn't matter. The Life apps interact with different governmental ecosystems and jurisdictions. The Clear Life is basically meant for the digital world and how it all kind of comes together. So,
Okay.
Once you
So I got Clear Life.
Okay, once you scan this QR code, so open Clear Life, and then in Clear Life you have to navigate up to the little what we call hamburger menu on the top left,
Right.
and then you'll click on that. There you go. So you're gonna have to. It timed out on you. So click here to.
I understand, but so I've got on your phone, explore, register, settings, check for updates, connect Clear Node.
All the way down at the bottom that
Digital
says
World Login.
Digital World Login, and then you're gonna want to click that again, scan it. And what's nice is someone can't scan your QR code with a different device. It just won't work. So even with the screen share tech like this, it won't work. So go ahead and go over to polls there. And let's go ahead and find this one. And because this isn't all inclusive, let's reject this one, okay? I'll reject it, you reject it. And that's as hard as it is to basically provide your vote. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
So that's it right there. So what I'll do is I'm going to jump back over.
So we don't need to share my screen anymore, right?
No. And Kamanu's video feed's on as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump back into.
And I've got 12 minutes before we got to get on to the other call.
I don't know. Okay.
Yeah.
So move to adopt Constitution of 1964 of the Hawaiian Kingdom as written by Kamehameha V to be amended by the people as needed. Period. Okay, so.
All right, I second.
Approved. Okay, so we've got a second to approve it. So we're going to, that's not right to have a question. We're going to make a statement. And if you want, we could give them less than a week. Or if you want, the goal is to have a meeting every Tuesday of every week at the same time. So the world can basically start counting on that consistency, and anything that needs to be voted on during this period, they have that week to vote on it. But they also get the ability to review it at the same time. So for instance, this would actually be that document.
And then the next document would be the one with the proposed changes.
Yes, you got it. That's exactly right. So I'm going to say, does this look good to everybody? So push go here? Because once we do it, you can't change it, it looks like.
So by the next meeting, we should have a constitution with the proposed changes ready to put up, right?
Well, I think we'll have a constitution that we can build on and then have the option to start the amending process. Okay.
So I think part of that process too, Lanakila, is that you and Kamana have already been doing a lot of this stuff already.
Mm-hmm.
There are some things that are like, like old language that just doesn't apply to anybody anymore, right?
Right.
That should be a simple conversation. Like, so you take like provision. I'm just using in my head provision A, line 2, provision 7, 9, line 8, and so on and so forth. These are actually no longer needed because of modern times. Nobody knew that we would be talking to Japan in seconds as opposed to gotta go take a.
Right.
So there's a whole lot of stuff that absolutely does not apply in today, 2023.
That's exactly
so
right.
So you take those first parts that is no controversy for anybody, and you put that as a motion, done. Here's the second part, and so some of these are going to need discussion, right? Do we want to do this? Do we want to do that? And so that's where that's where it comes in. And the second part is you got to have discussions. But in the first part, absolutely, to modernize things, and like I don't need to be carrying cannons with me. I don't need to be carrying horsewhips.
Right.
Whatever the different laws are and stuff like that. So those will be the first ones, which are like no controversy, and then from there you start whittling away and strengthening what you have to do.
Perfect. Perfect. So
A couple years ago, more than a couple years ago, a few years ago, I downloaded, and when I say downloaded, I mean I got this from the other side, was a way to do this voting with the people on the Constitution. And it was that you created it because you never want to go into this with a blank piece of paper. Because anytime you go anywhere with a blank piece of paper, you're not going to get anything done because there's just going to be too much back and forth. So you take the section that you think needs to be changed and you leave it just as it is. And then you highlight what you want to change in red in parentheses. I mean, just in red. And underneath, you put the proposed change, complete change. And then you give the yes or no option.
That's exactly right. Yeah, you got it.
And you just work your way through the document like that.
We'll do that on the next meeting. That's exactly right.
Okay, so we should have that document ready.
Yeah, for the next meeting, those edits we need to have ready to review and go through exactly what you did. A motion to adopt this, and then we had it seconded. We've created it now, real time. Like the rest of the governments would take months to do what we're doing here in a second, and we're going to do 5 or 10 of these during this meeting right now. So let's go ahead and crank through this. So I'm going to say add poll. And you can see now that, for instance, if Charles wants to come in, he can actually say, you know, that's one that I can actually get behind, and he can approve it, right? Now, there should be more details that they can dig into, the links and all that fun stuff. And what I'll do is I'll have some of the developers show that tonight. So we'll go through that in a second as well. So let's go ahead and move to the next topic, which is going to be... So we went through the Constitution, the timeline, and treaty review. So that's going to come from here. So this is a history from today going all the way back to 1846, which is where that Constitution originated from, and treaties with different countries that the Hawaiian Islands, so the king of the Hawaiian Islands engaged with. It's not the kingdom of the Hawaiian Islands. And this is majority of the time. Sometimes they call it Sandwich Islands, probably about 10% of the time. But as you read through these different environments, which by the way, there's some really good, and I just have to as I've been learning, this individual here, David, has done an amazing job of getting to this point and kind of organizing everything. So you can drill into all the different treaties with these different countries and how they were engaged and actually kind of see what they would have looked like. Now, supposedly, the actual printed versions of them that are signed are actually found in a museum here in Oahu, which I hope there's a day where we actually go through that and we see the signatures. Say again, Donna?
It's the State Archives.
State Archives.
It is right next door to the palace.
So maybe there's a day where we actually go through these beautiful things. Maybe before or after some of these are re-ratified. But
so let me add on to that, because I need to prepare for the next meeting at 5 o'clock. I pray that you guys are going to be coming onto there, because that's what I created it for, Mike.
I know.
But,
maybe you know what the best.
Hold on a second. I talked with the state archivist, a friend of Commander and myself and every Hawaiian, and he said, make an appointment with me sometime, and I will take you through.
That would be Ron. I told you about Ron.
Yeah, Ron. And he said, make an appointment with me, and I will take you through the places that nobody can go see by themselves.
Exactly.
And so he'll take us through that, and he'll be more than happy to do that.
I told Mike earlier when he goes there to ask for Ron and tell Ron that we sent him.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Because he will. Our names are kind of magic with him.
Wonderful.
Well, and the thing is too.
You just mentioned Keanu Sai's website about how, and he does have a fabulous website, but there's also another one. It's Bumpy's site, and it's Hawaii I sent you something in a message from there. It's also a good site to have in your. It's Hawaii-nation.org. But he has a lot of good stuff on there too. He did.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
there.
totally.
So he was trying to create the Aloha coin.
I look forward to meeting him. Looks like he's done an amazing ton of work. The goal is to help everyone come together in unity.
He was the first person I ever followed. Or I would say he's the first person I would say that I actually followed in this movement.
That's
Up
wonderful.
until I met him, I was just kind of, doing my own thing with my kupuna. But when I met Bumpy, I had no problems jumping behind him.
Yeah.
And,
Well,
and
let's go ahead.
I have never been told a lie by him, as far as I know. I cannot say that about too many of the other leaders, but I will say that about Bumpy. I'm not saying he never lied. I'm just saying he never lied to me.
Yeah.
I can't put my finger on a lie.
Well,
That's
now I
wonderful.
definitely have to go off, and I'm starting off this thing in 2-3 minutes. So I'm out.
What I would,
Yep.
Charles, maybe just ask them to come into this. It'll give them a real good understanding. Give them the URL and invite him to come in, and he can be a part of it.
Okay, I'll try it.
Okay, since we've already got a body here and we've got to get stuff done, so this is the priority. So let's just keep cranking here.
All right. Well, again, I made a commitment to be at 5 o'clock, so I'll try and see if I can get them all to go on
Okay.
over to.
So
Okay.
treaty timelines we went through. The letters requesting recognition will be out and in the mail by next Monday. Just trying to work down this.
Let's go through this real fast and let's literally just create this real quick. So this is going to be, let's make sure we spell this right. It's a treaty.
Are you okay? I know. Do you need anything right now? Okay.
Oh, Johnny, you do not sound good, my brother.
No, whatever's going on has really got him.
Yeah, he sounds like a totally different person. One of the things I wanted to point out too is that we need to make sure that when we send the treaties out, that there's always a correlation to the original treaty relationship between these countries and the Kingdom of the Hawaiian Islands. Like, for example, we're sending a letter out to Hungary, and Hungary in 2023 probably doesn't have a lot of information about the Austro-Hungary-Hawaii Treaty.
Mm-hmm. So we should just attach it, right? We can attach that treaty to it.
Yeah.
Yeah? Does that make sense?
Well, I mean, besides just attaching it, we really need to be very cognizant of it, what it is and its contents, so that we can speak to it.
Okay. Got you.
And my students that, every time my students tell me they know Hawaii Aloha, one of my great stories, I like telling them, okay, great. Sing it for me. They'll sing it. Beautiful. All right. Who wants to be the first one to write the whole song on the board? And nobody wants to write it because nobody knows how. So I told them, my rule is always, before you ever tell me you know something, make sure you know it.
Yeah.
On this one, I'm gonna do a vote, so we're not gonna fill in the approve reject. So it should have a thumbs up and thumbs down when it actually goes through the voting process. So this is a draft as of this date, and it ties to this document. So let's see what happens when we do this. By the way, this is following through on this motion that was made for us to, this one, the recognition from Hungary, as in a treaty. So we're going to go ahead and post that, and then we'll come over to this poll, and there you go. So you can approve it, reject it. Oh, what expired? Did I set the date to the wrong date? Looks like I did.
Okay, well, you able to revise it, or?
Yeah, so let's just, I'll set it to the 2nd. Okay, and then we need to link the actual document itself, which is here. And in the future, they'll be able to see actually where these all go. So we'll go ahead and add. Okay, so there we see that. That's perfect. Okay, so let's get back on track. So we went through this. Next one is for aliens. So do you want to walk us through this?
Yeah, can I see it? All I see is your icon. I don't see the screen.
There should, I can stop sharing and see if you can, you should be able to click on me and see it. Let's stop. Can you see that now?
It just keeps going back to your icon.
Inside of the document itself, you can, I'll go ahead and share that on the secure chat system. If you open up the agenda, you should be able to see it under alien laws.
This one inside out.
We should number these so that we know exactly what people are on.
It's chapter 5 of subjects and foreigners.
Sorry, why am I looking at the screen? And you guys sent it out to me, so I can just pull it up on my computer.
Yeah. So everybody should have already reviewed this prior. So 4, 3, are these numbering right? So do you want to?
Section 5 is missing.
Whoa.
Come on, you want me to send it to you? You sent it to me.
I'm not seeing section.
I'm looking at it.
I'm not seeing section 5.
Yeah, section 5 isn't showing.
Do you want to resend section 5?
I see you.
Do you want to send section 5 so that we can?
I'm gonna see if I got it here.
I'll search it as well. I think this was an email that was sent out.
Yeah, what we're approving is whether or not we want to adopt that statute. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So let me ask you a question real quick. If we're going to be doing this, I shouldn't be talking to these other guys, Kevin Friedman and all these other guys at this time, right?
I think you should, Charles, just engage him because that's intelligence. It's information that allows us to know what the pulse of everybody in the nation is.
Oh, boy. Whatever.
Yeah, the one that you sent me doesn't have it.
Okay.
Okay, I'm looking for the original so I can.
Yeah, the one that you
Yep.
sent me doesn't have it. So. And remember, this is live and will be recorded, Charles.
I understand.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, so Lanakila, what you're doing is you're pulling up that statute on aliens
Yeah.
as recorded in the 1864 Constitution.
No, in the Kanabay.
Okay, that's the one in 1846, Chapter 5.
That's it.
Charles, if you want, bring him into this.
I'm trying.
Okay. If he's there waiting for us and you really think we should dismantle this meeting, we can. We just got started on it. Oh, chapter 5. It's up at the top. No? Chapter 5, let's see.
Section
Yeah, as soon as
1,
Lanakila finds it, she can share it.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Oh, I have no control over that. Okay.
We'll go ahead and go to the next one, Declaration of Unity. Or should we stay on this one? Do you think you're going to be able to get that section 5?
I'm gonna find it, but it might take a little while. So go ahead and go forward.
Okay. The Declaration of Unity is something that's super impactful and important, at least from my perspective. But I also want individuals within the Hawaiian Islands and nation and kingdom to literally understand it independent of me and many others that
Agreed.
help create this.
Agreed.
But it basically reviews how together we can actually stand up with decentralized systems and become free and independent of the centralized systems that are actually controlling humanity and will take control like we can't even understand in the next decade. So that's what this document is. What I would propose is, even though it's not my right, or I would propose that a motion is made and ratified to review this and get this declaration understood by the masses. And it can also be found if we go to Hawaiian.life and if we click on governance and then go to declaration. So this is the one that we would actually want to approve, so to speak. So does this make sense?
Yeah, we definitely want to adopt it.
We have a gentleman that's joined us. Welcome, Kevin.
Thank you.
So this-
Not sure what I've joined for, but
It'll make sense in just a second here. So we're going to log into a system. We're basically a council that is helping to create not a government, but a governance process that's in a decentralized format. And we're actually creating some policy and process as we build in real time, so to speak. So.
Hello, Kevin. Thanks for coming on and joining us.
Yeah, mahalo, Kevin.
hi there.
Aloha.
But Kevin, part of the conversation in this is, and Kamano and Lanakila can talk even more carefully through this on the idea of governance, is there's been an ongoing question for over 100 years. Is Hawaii really a state of the United States of America, and so by what means and what legal method? And the answer is no, it's not. And Kamano can probably explain a little bit better the legal methods, and the information that we're doing now is taking back control and governance of that, and also the economy of that through a digitized manner. But Kamano, you want to talk a little about that?
Sure. So what we have learned is that there's been several instances where the United States government has already acknowledged in the apology resolution, the Native Hawaiian Land Recovery Act of 1995, apology resolution 1993, where they have made it pretty clear that, hey, look, what we did in 1893 was illegal and unlawful or unconstitutional. Nevertheless, in order to make some kind of remedy, they've tried to create all of these programs. Underlying all of this is that no one is really talking about the citizenship status of Hawaiians, because they were never absorbed or made Americans. Basically, the United States in 1893 entered into a treaty of annexation with the Republic of Hawaii, which only comprised less than 2,000 people. When the population at the time was about 110,000. The Native Hawaiian population was about 38,000. So they greatly outnumbered, vastly outnumbered the 2,000 that wanted annexation. And then in September 11, 1897, 21,269 patriots of the Kingdom of Hawaii signed a petition, which went to Washington, and they kind of sort of quietly tucked it away because there was a plan to annex the republic and not necessarily the kingdom. And it was hoped that through time they would slowly absorb members of the Hawaiian kingdom into the territory of Hawaii, which eventually became the state of Hawaii in 1959. The territory came about in 1900, and now you have 50 years between 1900 and 1959 of absorption and conditioning over time. So you start teaching the kids how to pledge their allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands when they have no clue, no idea what that means. And so we've got several senators, several attorney generals, several members of Congress who, even to this day, still question whether or not constitutional methodology was used to legally and lawfully turn Hawaii into a state.
Well, I understand that makes sense to you. Obviously, it's brand new to me. But why? Just a big question. Well, you know, somebody that I know a little bit in Tulsa, Oklahoma, asked me to be on something tonight. I don't know what role I would play or why you would want to talk to me about this or anything else.
I think part of the conversation that we're interested with you about is something that Michael Proper has introduced to us in the governance and also in the for lack of a better word, the coin of the Kingdom of Hawaii, because you are economic war room, and the economy of Hawaii is a unique animal, and that's where Michael comes in and has a unique conversation on how we're looking at the economy from a digital manner, I believe, in one part, and how to create the assets of Hawaii for reestablishment of international treaties. Mike, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I'd be honored to. So we work with decentralized systems and have been for well over a decade. So there's a governance system, if you'd like, I can kind of show it to you, that can basically create not only companies or organizations or trusts, but it can create digital assets that tie to them dynamically on the fly. And these things will actually operate within a futuristic financial system, not futuristic, it's here today, but it will interface with cross-border systems that are new types of systems that will replace SWIFT and ACH and all of the existing systems, but in such a way where sovereignty and independence can actually easily be used and adopted. If that makes any kind of sense, I can go through and actually show you specifics around how that would work. So let's say, I'll just share my screen here real fast. And I'll jump into, I've actually logged into an environment. I can log out and show you how that actually works. But without, I'll actually go ahead and do this real quick. So this is basically a new system at Hawaiian.life that represents exactly what we're talking about. People can go to and download an application called Hawaiian.life. When they download it, they basically will be given 12 words and they'll synchronize that with their fingerprint, and they'll never have to use, I should never say never, but they won't have to use username and password. So I just use my phone to log into a site that then I can go ahead and create an organization, or I can manage disputes or councils or polls or marriages or driver's license or birth certificates or death certificates or vehicle registration or gun registration, you name it. In this case, I can go and create an organization or a company. Let's say I wanted to create the Blaze Network. Let's see. So I would actually validate, if you're familiar with what Wyoming's done with some of their code. So I'm actually going to come in, validate who I am. So cryptographically, without a username and password, I've just accomplished that. Let's say I want to download Blaze Media. Okay, so down here, I'm just going to say, go ahead and add that. It's really Blaze Media. I don't know what network, we'll just call it the Blaze. That's the correct name. And it could be a community or a corporation. It could have its own system. So what we just did was we created a digital organization that in effect is equivalent of a organization in a state or a country or a parliament. And you can have different members of it. It can have a reputation. It can create different assets that can pull in. You can actually see what individuals externally would see. So if we plugged in an address, it wouldn't just come from the Hawaiian Islands, but it would come from, the jurisdiction in which you look at. The digital location is actually a web URL that cryptographically gets tied to an actual cryptographic key that's a derived key. And that's the real value of what the system is. It's all derived key based. So you can see it's got an article of incorporation, and the jurisdiction behind this is actually the whole earth, but based out of the Hawaiian Islands. So what one was just talking about. So you can see the reputation here is 0. Well, let's go back in and actually say we want to create an asset. So, and we'll do this real time. So let's say we want to create the Aloha or Hawaiian coin. And let's call this the Aloha. Or what do people want to call this? I mean, it's this body that can actually do this. Any thoughts or guidance? I don't want to push it.
Your question again?
So let's just create a digital asset that ties. Actually, this is the Blaze network, so we wouldn't want to do that. So we'll call it
Blaze coin.
Blaze.
Yeah.
And you can the value in you coming from the economic side. This is going to make a lot of sense. So there's different types. Let's see if I can zoom in here. So there's different types that basically revolve around assets, coins, dollars, infrastructure. So that's kind of like natural resources. NFTs is a category that we'll just put aside for a second. Rewards and tokens. So if it's a company, you want to actually build a type of token for it. If it's a reward system or private type currency or credit type, it would be a reward. A dollar would be like a public stable type thing. A coin would be something that's speculative, but everybody can get involved. It's not private. So let's just select that here. And let's say that certain people wanted to issue just 100. Okay, so we'll say there's 100 that are issued. If you lock it, there can be no more issued. If you want it to float, you don't link it to a currency. If you want it to be a stable like asset, you'd link it to a currency. In this case, let's not. So we'll go ahead and create an identifier. And in this particular case, I can actually create it, but then I can actually assign it to other individuals such as yourself or other folks that would actually be related to this. And by the way, your office has a lot of these phones, and we've been talking with you for probably 3 years now. So what we'll do is we won't leave the description here. We'll go ahead and create, let's do, I'm going to grab an icon real fast.
While he's doing that, Kevin, if I understand it correctly, you've been working with transactional gold and silver for Texas. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. In fact, I've got a book on that. I don't know if you've seen it, Pirate Money.
I saw the book. I haven't ordered it yet, but yeah.
Lays out the constitutional case. But if I heard you all correctly, the U.S. Constitution is almost irrelevant to what you're talking about, because if Hawaii wasn't properly constitutionally made a state, the Constitution doesn't reign over Hawaii.
The concept of having your assets not constantly getting bombarded by ridiculous policies is still there.
Yeah, no, I get that.
You know,
so it does make sense. I don't know that I can add any value. Digital assets are not an expertise of mine. I don't know how I can add any value to what you're doing. I'm still curious as to how you even found me or found out about me. But
well, that was actually through myself, through Jim Schmidt. I've known Jim for a long time in ministry stuff.
okay.
And so,
And I know Armadillo Jim a little bit, but not super well. I mean, we've met a few times.
right. So that's how I met you. And he said, contact Kevin. So I said, all right, I'll contact Kevin and see if I can add value to Kevin, or if Kevin can add value for us. I don't know. But Mike, being what he is in the digital world and creating the cryptographic assets, that's kind of a fascinating thing. It still might be a value for you for what you're looking at in Texas.
Yeah, no, it's very interesting, but it's all beyond me. It's just outside of my area of expertise. I don't know if you've ever seen the show Economic War Room, but it's advanced outside of what I understand.
Okay.
Are you familiar with Rob?
Well, you know what?
Rob?
I gotta say this, if I could interject in here. Kevin, just you holding up that book, I bet answers we're looking for and how to tie all of this together may be found in the pages of that book. It looks really interesting to me, and I want to get a copy.
It may. I don't know if it applies here. This is the history and the argument as to why we have to go away from an unbacked fiat currency, and then it gives the solution to be literally transactional gold and silver, just like Glent Pay, which is available already on iPhones and Androids and computers, glentpay.com. So it might be. It is. This is primarily a political problem.
Isn't all fiat currency kind of a political problem?
100%.
Yeah, I think all of us have the same conversation in our head that fiat currency is garbage. It's what we have to use right now, but it is garbage. But
So how do we reverse that, Kevin?
Well, if a state wishes to, under Article 1, Section 10 of the Constitution, they can choose to make gold and silver legal tender. The IRS has a problem with that because it's not functional as money. And yet, if it's done on a basis like we did in Briscoe versus Bank of Kentucky, 1837, Nevia versus New York, and so forth, the states then have the authority to implement gold and silver and then make it transactional, functional. And I apologize, it's very late here and I've been traveling all day, but it can be functional as money. The same, I don't know if you're familiar with Glent.
I am. I watched it last night.
I am.
Look at that.
I'm familiar with Glent.
Yeah, so I've talked to Jason Cousins. We had him out at our property in Texas, and I just talked to him on the phone. He's willing to allow us to use the software that they've developed in individual states, and then you hook that to a state bullion depository, and you have essentially functional money. It'll ride either on the rails of MasterCard, Visa, traditional rails, or you can do peer-to-peer, which means that if you're an employee, you can be paid in gold. And they will buy the gold as little as a penny or as much as $1 million.
Yeah, so Kevin, you're breaking up there, but basically what I would propose as a way forward is we set up a meeting with Jason and we review what's happening here in the Hawaiian Islands and how that can all link together and how the technology can really work in unison. Are you back with us, Kevin? Did you lose him? We'll wait for him to come back.
Yeah, shucks.
Okay, so we'll wait for him to come back. Charles, if you want to let us know when he's back on, that would be great. So what people just saw here is we created a company, and then we created an asset within that company. You know, you've got Blaze, and then you can even let's just go open. Anybody can see this. Hawaiian, is he back on now? So you can see here, this company was created. Now you can see, because there's a reputation, they're starting to structure. You can actually, if there were transactions behind it, you would start seeing that. But just like what he's talking about, we're state to state. This is a platform not just for states, but for organizations, and you could even link it right to the asset-backed systems. So the state that I've originally been building for 30 plus years is Utah. And what he's talking about, it's already in law, and it was from day one of the Constitution for gold and silver to actually be legal tender within the state. And we have dollars that are actually printed that are actually gold and silver. If you melt them down, it's the same weight and everything. So I would welcome an opportunity and conversation to continue that dialogue with Kevin. Kevin, are you still with us? Looks like he's not with us. It was late for him. So let's continue to keep running in this ecosystem and jump back to the agenda. Did we find section 5 of?
No, I'm still looking. It's in all this stuff is in my computer at home on my desk.
Okay. So tell you what, we won't make that vote then. We'll come back to it. We push the declaration live. There's Kevin. Kevin, are you with us, bud?
Yeah, I got kicked off. I don't know what happened.
Okay. Well, welcome back. So in effect, what we think is the best way forward is just to lock a meeting with you and with Glenn and Jason, and because we've got a system that'll literally tie all that together, not just with states, but with countries that can have their own currencies that tie to silver and bullion and different precious metals like what you're talking about. So there's a big fit for all of it. So maybe what we do is we take an action item over the next 72 hours and lock a new time. Does that work for you?
I'm not going to be able to do that over the next 72 hours. This was a push for me to be available even tonight. I'm speaking. I'm traveling to DC and speaking. I'm traveling home and speaking. I'm willing to think about this. This is all brand new to me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a little overwhelming, especially as tired as I am.
Why don't you just take a night, get some rest, and we'll plan on touching base with you next week. Does that sound good?
That sounds like a good choice.
Okay.
All right.
You sleep well. Much
Thank
love.
you so much, and thank you for being open to all of this.
Okay. All right.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
Get some rest. Aloha.
Bye-bye.
Aloha.
What a good guy, especially to be open so late, 11 o'clock at night. Maybe next meeting we'll do it early in the day for him. So, where were we? So we're skipping over this one, move to this one. That's done. So Wilmot, if you want to go through the difference between decentralized governance councils and versus a government ministry structure. So ministries like, you've got colonial-based systems that have a prime minister and a minister of finance and minister of this, and you see that all throughout the Pacific Ocean, with different countries that have basically been colonialized, whether it's France or Spain, but you see it because they've got prime ministers and ministry systems. So minister of health, minister of finance, minister of education. But in the US, which is where Hawaii has a state, based, it's not that same way, but you're starting to see different structures because the kingdom of Hawaii, or the Hawaiian kingdom, had these same types of ministries. And so that's one of the things that, when we look at the Hawaiian Constitution, we've got to look at that and councils as it relates to that. So maybe we tie those two topics together with the updates that are going to be done next week with Donna. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Okay, so we'll jump through that. So this one here, Global Rush to Enslave. That's a video. We'll just do that off hours. Digital World Service Provider. So this one would be a proposal where the digital world should make a proposal to be a service provider in the Hawaiian Kingdom. So I would like to have an opportunity to provide something like that where we can actually formalize the relationship and get that moving forward. Does that make sense?
Say that one more time. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Where the digital world becomes
Which is you.
it's me and many other folks, but
Right.
we become a formal service provider within this new Hawaiian nation, kingdom, country, etc., and continue to provide systems and services, so to speak. Because remember, these different ecosystems. Let's see if I can pull this up. It's built of service providers that then serve the services based upon the council's guidance of what we're actually doing today. So the council creates the governance and the policies to deliver the services, and service providers actually deliver that. So it's like what we were talking about before. It's not just a ministry that's doing it, or a department. It's a free enterprise that basically competes with others. So others could come in and do this. It's not something there's an exclusive. You've got other providers that could come in and do it at different levels. So for instance, if we pull up the digital world and we look at the different service providers inside of this ecosystem, you'll see lots of companies that do different things, from connectivity to cellular systems to shipping to taxation to technology, to different even governing ecosystems. So the goal would be for the Hawaiian nation to build out service providers that it sees as a key fit within its ecosystem. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what this one ties to. And there's really no action item there. It's just I would like to take a task to actually go and get that thing done next time. So
How do we pay you for this service?
that's what. So in the side of the proposal would have what services are provided, what's the cost of them, and how payment could be received. And the value that we've already brought to the table is tens of millions of dollars that we've already spent into it, but that's not what would be requested. It would be something along the lines of, how do we maintain it? How does it set up? How do the keys and infrastructure get delivered? Keys being login credentials to the centralized system, which is the system here, so that systems could basically be maintained around these types of services. Maybe it's birth certificates or driver's licenses or registrations of different assets, maybe a motorcycle or a car or a boat or a gun, different polls, councils. So it would be a simple monthly fee in the future based upon the Hawaiian nation standing up and becoming cash solvent. There wouldn't be any requests or expectations without that being the case. So we'd be willing to cash flow it until that time, if that makes sense.
Okay. So just for me, I always got to break things down to the simplest terms, because that's just the era I come from, I guess. I don't know. So basically, and I don't have a problem with this being the situation. So basically, you're providing us and when I say you, I mean your group of people, providing us a system to help our physical government work more efficiently, while the people have control of their own identity and their personal things, while the government still has the ability to run the nation. The physical government runs the nation, fix the potholes, make sure the water's flowing, set up shipping agreements with other countries, that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
It's a software system for us to use.
That's exactly right.
Okay, because that I can sell to people easily. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I can see, because I can see, my brain is very much different than theirs, I can see how they can connect to that and see the value in that easily.
Yeah.
The simplest terms work the best for us.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. I got it. Okay, I got it.
Okay. So we don't have anything to do there. I'll plan on next week having some form of a review for it.
Okay.
Timeline, same thing. the Hawaiian brand style guide. So this is something that's been created and it's used different terms, whether it's, just general Hawaiian or Hawaiian kingdom or nation or country, whether it ties off of a historical icon, a new type of icon, whether it's, this is a vertical approach, a horizontal approach, different elements from earth, wind, and fire and water, down to potentially new states and jurisdictions, which is a different conversation from Kauai, Maui, Hawaii, and Oahu, to different color palettes. But this, in general, depending on, we have another topic in here where we've got to light up the name. So what is the actual name? Is it a kingdom? Is it, and actually, let's see, it should be, maybe it's down here. There should have been an area where we actually need to lock down the
support
name.
centers are to be like our technicians, right? Our IT persons.
Yeah, that's another way to look at it. But there's also an element of, what this is around branding. So, everyone should have an opinion and a perspective. And if they don't like it, they should be able to build something out on their own. So for instance, when we look at this, even though this is a proposed brand and element, for a period of time, we let people actually design their own and upload it. And then we put it in the system and we vote on it and let everyone basically be a part of this process of standing this up. And the more that understand it and get involved, the more involvement and say that they've got in it, so to speak. So the topic is around brand and style. So what I would propose is that this particular style guide, as we review it today, with different marks and different elements, basically gets adopted as a style guide. So it's not that it's locked down or set, but we need to define whether we're going to call it a country, nation, kingdom, because it's really all of them, or something else. Maybe it's the Hawaiian Islands, or, but now's the time to start firming that up and having the conversation around it. Does that make sense?
I think it would be Ko Hawaii Aina because that's the way we were. That's who we are.
Yeah, Ko Hawaii Aina is correct. That's with the vernacular.
Do you want to send
means
me
Hawaiian Ko or Hawaiian Islands? So Ko Hawaii Aina be appropriate.
Okay. Do you want to send over the exact spelling on that? We'll have a design popped up tonight. And
why don't you take a stab at spelling it, Michael? No, I'm just kidding.
I'm putting it in the chat.
Thank you. So the next topic, thank you. Something like that.
That's it. I mean, he spelled it perfectly.
Yeah, that's because he helped do it. So what we'll do is we'll have that kind of firmed up tonight, and then we'll use this as a baseline to get approved within the system. So what we'll do is we'll come back over here to councils. We'll create another one. And this is going to be...
Oh, right on, Charles. He's saying khpa.life is available.
Wonderful.
Yeah, cool.
AHP, that would be good.
Let's go ahead and just send that over through the secure chat, and we'll get that done. So we'll go until next week on this one. And with this one, we'll just leave this generic since it's not even tied to it. Okay, so we've got the URL, we've got the dates. Let's see if this works. Okay, so we'll go to the polls so we can see that that's there. Okay, so whenever anybody logs in, they're going to have these same questions that they can go through and approve or reject. And then by the time next week rolls around, we basically have approval on it one way or another. Next topic is the flag, which I don't believe, let's see what time it is. I don't believe we have enough maturity on that to even have that conversation. Let's see what things we might be missing. There is, go ahead. Another,
No, that was just my chair slide
okay.
floor.
Another topic is around possible support centers in each island / possible states. So you basically have Maui, big island of Hawaii, but in Kona, versus Oahu and Kauai. There's actually 3 locations that are proposed here. Inside of this document, you can see where they're at, but it's probably not appropriate at this time until we do a motion there, which we're not even close to. We'd have to nail down budgets and other things and revenues and before we pull triggers there, but just know that there's a thought process there. Approve email domains. So systems or country, we need to kind of lock down those. I know that there's dialogue around email, so let's not make a motion there.
So I just checked again too. Hawaiipaeaina.life, that's available as well.
Okay, but this is a live meeting, and once people get through it, it's not going to be available.
I'm so sorry. Thank you.
That's okay.
Forgot about that.
That's okay. So you got budgets and banking, which will have to be in the future. We're not going to be able to get to that, and we probably shouldn't bring this topic up either. So the rest of it is just roundtable feedback, and then we come back through and basically go through what we've already accomplished in the next meeting. So when we start the next meeting, we'll actually go through these particular topics. Does that make sense?
Can we go back to the branding?
Yeah.
So because red and gold are really big with our people, could we do that? Yeah, and maybe use that as our seal.
Yeah.
Because that's what people recognize. That's what our people recognize.
Okay.
I love the earth, wind, and fire elements, but it's not us.
Got it. So then what we should do is start rejecting it and then starting over, because a lot of it's just.
It was a lot of hard work, I know.
That's okay. That's okay. We need to do it right. So that's why this process is there. If it doesn't,
the more familiar things we can give our people, the more they'll trust. The more we try and introduce new foreign things, they're going to move farther away from it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Good feedback. That's exactly what we're trying to go through. The other thing is feedback like that within the site. So any kind of content, verbiage, words.
That should be my son. Just kidding.
Yeah. Bring it on. Just send the photos. So, but that's exactly what we're trying to accomplish. So every word, every image, we want to make sure that it's right. It doesn't feel wrong. There's not something that's inappropriate. You know, I would argue this little kid, and who's this little kid? He doesn't look Hawaiian. What's go figure? So that kind of, any of those types of feedback, you know, we need to start.
Yeah, I get cousins that look like that, and they have more Hawaiian than me.
Okay, all right. So that's there you go. There's the point.
Their last name is Ka'ai.
Okay, so you know, those are the types of things that you know, really read through this site. Read through the declaration, make sure it feels right. There's no warning signs. And then what we do is we melt the old with the new. So we adopt the old Constitution with the new declaration, and then we start modifying based upon current day realities. And so I hope this is making sense and feeling right for folks. So
every time we get together like this, it's making more sense to me.
Awesome.
So I appreciate this.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
I have so many pictures of him.
Send them over. Hopefully they're awesome. So really, these are the ones that we got. So it looks like the style guide is going to be shut down. The Declaration of Unity is out. The alien laws. We were waiting for the 5th law.
Section 5. I'm going to go sort out Section 5 for you.
Okay. So we won't submit that, but the bold items are basically going to pop on next week's meeting around the Hungary request for recognition, and then the Constitution, the baseline. And then, as other people want to come in, they can also come in and get involved and ask questions, and we'll just keep this moving forward. So any other topics other than wrapping up with kind of what we talked about with roundtable feedback and then a closing prayer? Charles?
No, I think the Kevin was an interesting conversation to have in there. The guy that introduced my buddy Jim and is more about governance than economics. So that I'll get him on another conversation a little bit later.
Okay. That sounds good. Any other feedback as it relates to this meeting, or thoughts, or anybody?
Yeah, absolutely. I thought that earlier I saw a power slide. It looked like that the article relating to aliens, denizens, and indigenous natives were. I saw it pop up somewhere there. Go back.
This was with the Hungary document. This is what's being reviewed here.
All right, second page.
Here, let me zoom in.
Yeah, go to the second page.
Is this the right page here? Second page?
No, the other page, the other slide.
This is a Word doc. So you want me to go to a slide, or?
There was in one of those docs, there was an article on addressing the aliens and
Oh,
nationals.
yeah, I can find that. I can find that real fast. So let's just go back up to aliens here. There was the section 5 out of this aliens document's not working though. I don't know why. This is the aliens document here.
That's the one.
But section 5 isn't in here that we were supposed to be approving, unless that's
Mom,
what
Yeah,
but
so
that's
this
not
comes out of
familiar.
section 5.
Say again? This is chapter 5.
Yeah, so this comes out of chapter 5. Yeah.
Yes.
Chapter 5 is the section.
Okay, so it's chapter 5, not section 5. That's why we're struggling to find it. That makes sense.
Right. And that's taken from the, that's why you have me in this meeting. That is taken from the Kauai Paino Laws of 1846. That is found on page 75. And the Hawaiian side, the Olelo Hawaii is on page 64, 69. But that chapter, those articles relate to aliens, denizens, and natives. Your Aina E, Haole Hawaii, and Kanaka Maoli.
Okay. Is there an intentional reason why section 5 is omitted out of chapter 5? Should we just add it and then omit it?
Yeah, you just add chapter 5, aliens, denizens, and natives.
Oh, no. I
Is
see
that-
what he's saying.
Is that what you're
So
saying?
the title is actually section 5.
Yeah, titles.
Section 5. So just move that down.
Okay, so this is section 5. That's what you're saying.
That is section 5.
Got
yes.
it. Okay. So we're going to cut that. Instead of removing it, we're going to add it right there, and then we're going to remove section 1 because it's already there.
There
Makes
you
sense.
go.
Okay. Perfect. That's exactly why this happens. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a motion. Somebody will.
No wonder
to-
my head was torn.
So we're going to come back into councils, and so we're going to come in and we're going to add this as
Yes, awesome.
After, right before I talk. I will move that we accept these alien laws as defined. What year is that? 1845, Kamanu?
1846.
1846. I move that we accept these, okay, I'm gonna write first.
Yeah, just write it and send it over.
Yeah, it's a simple motion to adopt. And then later in the future, somebody can make a motion to amend.
Don, are you saying something? That sounds good. Yeah,
There it is. I sent it to you.
got it.
All right, I'll add one more, which may be amendable in the future. I think it's still pretty applicable to today, though.
And citizens is really nationals. The citizens is just really looked at as another form of slavery. But
Pertaining to what's the law? What's the title of that section again?
does it talk about nationals or citizens inside of this? So it's citizens.
Subjects, foreigners, aliens, natives. Talks about everybody.
It actually doesn't do citizens. That's awesome. Okay. Okay, so what do you want to call it here?
46 laws of the Hawaiian people pertaining to residents of, I don't know.
Yeah, you gotta adopt an existing law. So it has to be the motion to adopt the 1846 law pertaining to subjects of foreigners.
There you go, pertaining to subjects and foreigners.
Yeah. So that's all we're doing right now is we're just adopting what we feel are the relevant statutes at this time, subject to amendment at a future time.
Okay.
Then we clean it up.
Yep. And I'm going to second that motion to adopt 1846 law pertaining to subjects of foreigners.
Okay. So this is the document here. This is the request. This is the motion. And then what we'll do is by tomorrow morning, we'll show the details of these. So. Okay.
These are good. These are critical.
Okay. Let's see how that was added.
Within this particular motion is the law relating to Kanaka Mo'oli, and that's identity. It's an important discussion.
Okay. We're going to have to come back and see how these modify over the next 20, well, it'd be 12 hours. So we'll review that. So everything in bold, then we got done. We were able to get this one done. So we'll review those in the next meeting. The rest of it is still needs follow-up. So, okay. Anybody want to adjourn and then have an invocation or have an invocation?
This is a really silly question. Okay, so don't laugh at me. But how do I get into where I need to vote?
It's the same thing that Charles did earlier. So you go into Hawaiian Life. You either have a clear phone or you download Hawaiian Life on an Android phone. Apple's currently in development. And then you would click on member login. You would grab your phone and you would log in with this QR code in your phone. And then
Okay.
once you log in, click, it'll show you votes or polls. That's another thing. We should pop this up, pop when logging in or something, or somehow add. So
All right.
that makes sense.
Makes sense. I did it before, but I had no reason to do it again. And so,
Yeah, I gotta get used to it, John.
yeah.
Okay. Any other feedback?
I don't like how to use an Android. It's so different.
Yeah, that's going to be the hardest thing. Is a lot of people love to use Apple, and currently the wallet and the Life app are separate, and the technology with Apple won't let cryptographic keys be shared securely because Apple holds the actual cryptographic keys. So we have to combine those apps into one, and then we'll launch it on Apple, which is currently in active development right now. So it's been a good meeting. Do we want to wrap up with
It's been really good.
an
Thank
adjournment?
you. Thank you for your energy, your time, and your focus, Michael. Now get on that plane and get home to your ohana.
Done.
We'll give your wife a hug and a kiss.
Yeah, it's been
And
good to be here.
just on a serious note, you are leaving because you have had a demand or a request of you to withdraw. However, it becomes the Kuleana responsibility of this body to make sure that as we continue to move forward in uniting the people underneath this decentralized system, that we need to send you a formal letter of invitation so that when you return, you have the credentials you need to come in here and nobody can stop you.
Amen.
So that means Charles, myself, Alanakila, we are committed to that effort. And so do not return until we give you the credentials to do so.
Done. We'll commit to that.
Okay. This was good work. This is really important work. This is the real work of government that's been long overdue. And because so many of these groups are fragmented and are driven by one person's ego or passion or another, they don't look at the laws. And because they fail to look at the law, many of them have called on me to support them. And I can't, even though they may have the genealogy to prove that they have some lineal descent from the chiefs and believe that it's their rightful birthright, I still cannot support anybody who doesn't go by the laws that were written to protect the rights of the Maka'ainana. And this is the beginning.
And I think something that we need to say to these people or to remind them, we have to find a nice way to wake them up to realize that there are literally thousands of us who can make those claims. There are less of us. There are less of us, but still many of us who can make the claims to the dynasties pre-Kamehameha, which trump all of that anyway. It doesn't matter, is what I'm trying to say.
Yep.
Because what does the Constitution say? It's up to the people. The king made that change, that the people will vote for their leadership. So
I like that, Lanikila. I like that because that's the kind of dialogue or language we're gonna have to get comfortable about articulating, right? So, like, for example, I can tell you the Kuleana Land Act of 1850 is found on page 202. Not very many Kanakas can do that.
mm-hmm.
I can tell you that the law of 1859, section 1477 is the revised statute of 7-1. Not too many people can do that. The only reason why I do know is because I made a point of learning what our laws are. And in order for us to move forward as a nation, we need to make sure that we are all cognizant of what those laws are. Because if we're only leaving up to one person, then we're going right back to something we don't want to return to.
That's what's happened to people is most people have become complacent and just leave it up to somebody else to do the research, do the thinking, and then tell them what to do. And then they find themselves 10 blocks away from where they should be, you know? And that's how, I mean, that's so common in the world with, look at America, what America's going through right now because they did just that. They did not.
Under the statutory provisions of the Kingdom of Hawaiian Islands, anybody who was raised in the Moloa lost their kuleana. That's why it's called the kuleana. It's not called the Moloa.
Yeah. We'll get it. We will get it, and our people will get it, more importantly.
Yeah. So let's make a motion to adjourn until next week. And
I so move.
okay,
I second the move.
okay. And then let's go ahead and have an invocation by whoever would like to say it. Charles? No, I didn't.
Yeah, let me start off with this because I kind of prepared this. My screen is shared, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Okay. So looking at Habakkuk this Sunday, actually. And Habakkuk 2 starts with, I will stand at my guard post and station myself on the watchtower. And forgive me, kimono, I was going to try to do it in Hawaiian, but no, I'm okay. But I did use the New American Standard Bible. And by using that, to the best of my knowledge, that's what the Hawaiian Bible used, is using the same standard, was they took the original texts from the Old and New Testament. Anyway, I will stand at my guard post and station myself on the watchtower. I will keep watch to see what he will say to me and how I may reply when I am reprimanded. Then the Lord answered me and said, write down that vision, inscribe it clearly on tablets of stone, so that one who reads it may run. For the vision is yet for the appointed time. It hurries towards the goal, and it will not fail. Though it delays, wait for it will come. It will certainly come. It will not delay long. Behold, as for the impudent one, his soul is not right with him. But for the righteous one will live by his faith. Amen.
Amen.
Father, I thank you for
Amen.
men and women that stand at the watchtower and wait. And as they see the vision, they start spreading it and running with it so that they may show it and bring the vision to others. And as we move forward, one step at a time, that run may be at a full run, it may be one step, it may be with a cane, but we will step forward so that we are not the impudent one, but we pray that our soul is right within us and that we may live in a righteous way and live by faith. Thank you, Father, for Michael, who has brought us to a unique perspective in a very short time. Bless him wherever he goes. Bless him in the city, bless him in the field, bless him in his coming in, bless him in his going out. And I pray that same blessing for each and every one of us, but especially for Michael. Keep him safe and on his flights. Let him hug and kiss on his wife and his kids. And thank you for a man of vision. Thank you for a man of passion. Thank you for a man of craziness, that he would do something like this instead of staying within a comfort level. But thank you for that. For this, and the same thing applies for Kamanu and my sister Lanakila, always sticking it out and going for it and being leaders. Thank you for leaders that will stand at the guard post and move forward each and every day. In Jesus' name, amen.
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 Mahalo.
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 Much love, everybody.
Hey, Michael, you have a safe trip.
For sure. Much love.
And Mike, I just
Yeah.
want to store your stuff that I got over here in my back room.
Yeah. Thank you so very much. I'll come get it soon. You just let me know when you want me here, okay?
Oh,
It won't be too long.
yeah, it won't be that long.
It
I
won't
promise
be
you
soon
that.
enough, but it won't be too long.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I tell you what, Michael, just go ahead and sign off, and I want to talk to Lanakila and Charles real quickly.
Okay, bye.